For my chat, I wanted to discuss the history and significance of the Guy Fawkes Mask that's now used to symbolize him and the anti-authoritarian movement. Because I thought, just as easily he could be viewed as a terrorist. He tried to blow up the parliamentary buildings. Um, and he could have been vilified by the government or the population, but here we are today with a mask that really represents the anti-authoritarian movement, which makes sense too, but could have gone either way. Looking into the history of the mask, after November 5th, 1605, when his plan failed, roughly the 3 centuries afterwards, so the 1600s, 1700s, 1800s, it was tradition to dress up a scarecrow on November 5th and to burn it in a giant communal bonfire, apparently, quote unquote, with solemnity. So I guess for those 3 centuries, he was viewed as a terrorist. He was viewed or remembered. It was sort of remembered as a time to be solemn, be vigilant of people that want to destroy society. So he did it did take that bent of being of him being looked at as a villain. So by the 20th century, so the 1900s, when comics started to become more popular, but before V for Vendetta came out in the 80s, Guy Fawkes masks were given at this time to children. They were made of cardboard, and they were given to children with comics in the weeks leading up to Guy Fawkes Day so that the kids could dress up with the masks in Guy Fawkes Day. But as Halloween started to become popular in the 1900s, weird side note, I thought it was way older than that, and I guess the roots of it are, but dressing up in masks and going trick-or-treating really didn't become popular until the 1900s. So as Halloween becomes more popular, the popularity of the Guy Fawkes mask starts to wane. So that kind of happens through the 1900s. And then as it is starting to fade out, we get Alan Moore and David Lloyd coming out, repopularizing it with V for Vendetta. And it kind of changed the significance of it, though, from one of somber remembrance to one more representative of this anti-authoritarian protest movement. So I found it kind of ironic that his mask was initially co-opted as a remembrance to be wary of anti-authoritarianism, but in the end it comes back to symbolize the anti-authoritarianism that Guy Fawkes himself believed, espoused, whatever. Which takes me to the modern usage, which is largely associated with the internet hacktivist group Anonymous, as we've discussed. But going into the rabbit hole of the internet meme history there is kind of hilarious. The mask was kind of used initially to represent Epic Fail Guy, because this character in internet memes, everything he tried to do failed epically, which is kind of hilarious because Guy Fawkes obviously epically failed in his plot to blow up parliamentary buildings. But then the Epic Fail Guy part got lost, and once more the mask was used, this time by Anonymous, to represent the anti-authoritarian movement. These days, the mask definitely is largely associated with Anonymous, but it's also being used as a general symbol of anti-authoritarian movements worldwide, from Occupy Wall Street to the Arab Spring protests, recently in Venezuela, and even more recently in the Hong Kong protests. The evolution of the mask is super interesting to me because it seems like every time the mask's significance veers away from Guy Fawkes' original anti-government or anti-establishment ideology, it seems to have returned. Anyways, so these days, kind of crazy fact, is it is literally the most popular mask in the world, selling hundreds of thousands of copies each year on Amazon, not to mention probably multiple times that the number that people print out themselves, as we did in our class, or probably some of us did. So a neat quote by Alan Moore is, suppose when I was writing V for Vendetta, I would, in my secret heart of hearts, have thought, wouldn't it be great if these ideas actually made an impact? So to go from creating an idea to it being used as the most popular mask in the world, representing anti-government, anti-authoritarian protests worldwide. Yeah, just some neat history behind that mask.